You ever buy a ring twice? No? Cool, then you probably haven't been me. That's the first sentence I wrote in the Notes app on my phone 2 nights ago at exactly 11:47 p.m. while sitting in the parking lot of a bar called Trudy's Dockside Tap. That's where it happened. That's where my marriage of 7 years ended with a quiet slide of metal across a bar top. I'm Emmett. I'm 36. I have mild lactose intolerance, a deep hatred for cilantro, and apparently, a wife who's emotionally lactose intolerant to me. Her name's Callie. Age 34. Works in public relations, whatever that means anymore. She smiles for a living, which now feels cruel in retrospect. We live in a small craftsman-style house with lopsided stairs and a dog named Gerald who was supposed to be the first step before a baby. That baby never came. Neither did the vacation we'd planned. But her new personality sure did. Let me rewind. Thursday night, she told me she was meeting Lindsay from the office for a vent and vino night. Which, fine, we all need our people, right? Except, she left with a full face of makeup, a dress she hadn't worn since our anniversary dinner 2 years ago, and heels that made the dog bark. My gut twisted. I asked, casually, fake casual, the kind where your stomach burns, is it really just Lindsay? She smirked. I kid you not. A full smirk. Why? You want to come too? She said, like I was a child asking if I could tag along to an adult party. I didn't argue. I nodded. Said, have fun. Then, I sat with Gerald and pretended not to feel like my ribs were collapsing inward. Around 10 p.m., I broke. Call it curiosity, call it self-destruction, call it the last straw. I opened Snapchat. Yeah, Snapchat. A friend from high school posted a story from, you guessed it, Trudy's Dockside Tap. A bar across town we never go to, because she said it was too trashy. But there, in the blurry background, was Callie. She wasn't with Lindsay. She was with someone taller, clean-shaven, wearing one of those thin dress shirts tucked into jeans like he's always in a cologne commercial. I zoomed in. His hand was on her lower back. Her head was tilted back in laughter. I drove. Quietly. No music. Just the dull thunk of my blinker as I pulled out of the driveway. When I got there, I didn't go straight to her. I didn't want a scene. Honestly, I didn't have the stomach for one. I walked past them. Yes, they were in a booth, sharing fries like they'd done it before, and I went straight to the bar. The bartender looked young, college-aged. Name tag said Derek. I took off my ring, held it for a second. I didn't cry. Not because I didn't want to, but because my eyes were dry in that weird, shocky way where your brain won't let you feel anything yet. I slid it across the bar. Derek raised an eyebrow. I nodded toward her. When she comes back from wherever they're going tonight, I said, give her this. Tell her it's from her husband. He blinked once. That was it. I didn't wait to see her reaction. I didn't want to see her pretend to be surprised. Or worse, not surprised at all. I walked out. Now I'm sitting here, 2 days later, writing this while the washer hums behind me and Gerald snores at my feet. The weird part? I feel lighter. Not better, but lighter. Like I've finally stopped carrying someone else's weight. I don't know where she is now, but I know where my ring is. And that's a better ending than I ever thought I'd get. The next morning started like any other fake normal morning. Gerald was scratching at the back door to pee, the coffee machine was growling, and I was sitting at the kitchen table staring at nothing, wearing the same hoodie I wore the night before. It still smelled faintly like beer and regret. At 8:02 a.m., I got a text from Callie. Just one word. Hey. That's it. No, sorry I got home late. No, we need to talk. Just hey, like we hadn't detonated a decade of shared life with one betrayal and a bartender. I stared at the screen for a good 10 minutes. I didn't answer. I didn't even blink much. I just kept rereading it like maybe a second message would follow. But nothing came. Just silence and that one syllable. Cheap, hollow, pointless. Then came the voicemail. She didn't know I had set up my phone to send unknown numbers straight to voicemail. Apparently, she was calling from someone else's phone. Probably not Lindsay's. Hey babe, it's me. I think we should talk. I'm coming home in a bit. I left my charger and, well, can we just talk when I get there? The way she said, babe. Like she hadn't just thrown a Molotov cocktail at our marriage and walked away in heels. It was surreal. I didn't call back. I didn't text. I didn't even save the voicemail. I just stood there in the kitchen and let it all hit me. The weight, the noise, the total collapse of everything we built. I looked at our fridge, where we had photos pinned up from trips we never got to take again, and little notes like, pick up dog treats in her handwriting. and it felt fake. All of it. So I started packing. Not her stuff. Mine. I wasn't doing it as a statement. I didn't imagine her walking in and crying, begging me not to go. That only happens in movies. Real life is quieter. Messier. More gray. I packed my things with the calm of a man who has nothing left to scream about. Clothes, chargers, the few books I cared about. Left everything else. The furniture? Hers. The plates? Hers. Even Gerald's leash. I left that too, because I wasn't going to drag him through this. I called my cousin Martin, who lived 40 minutes away and had a spare room filled with boxes and broken dreams from his last failed relationship. He just said, "Come by." Keys under the mat. I was loading the last bag into the car when her Uber pulled up. I recognized her immediately, but it still felt like seeing a stranger. She was wearing sunglasses despite the overcast sky, and holding her phone like a weapon. When she saw me by the trunk, her jaw tightened. "You're seriously leaving?" she said, like I was the one who betrayed her. I didn't answer. She pulled off her sunglasses. "Are you kidding me right now? You don't even want to talk." That was when I said it. "The bartender gave you the ring, right?" Her face changed. She blinked fast. "You were there?" I nodded. "I was there. And I saw enough." She tried to explain. "It wasn't what it looked like. He's just a friend from. You were touching his back. He was touching your hand. You don't do that with friends. At least not the married kind." She crossed her arms. "So you're just gonna walk out like a coward?" That's when it hit me. All these years, she thought I was weak because I didn't shout. Because I didn't fight dirty. Because I let her win arguments when I should have stood my ground. But this wasn't weakness. This was finally strength. "No," I said. "I'm walking out like someone who's done waiting to be respected." I got in the car. Gerald jumped in beside me like he knew exactly what was going on. I didn't even look back as I pulled away. And for the first time in a long time, I felt something that might have been peace. Or maybe it was just the quiet before the next storm. Martin's spare room smelled like old carpet and dryer sheets, which is to say, it was perfect. It was quiet. No framed live, laugh, love quotes. No perfume lingering on pillows. Just a sagging futon and the slow creak of an overworked ceiling fan. Gerald circled the mattress 3 times before curling up and sighing like he, too, was relieved to finally be somewhere without lies in the walls. Martin didn't ask many questions. He's the type of guy who's seen enough of love's ugliest sides to know that asking, "What happened?" just opens floodgates no one's prepared to handle. Instead, he handed me a beer, nodded once, and turned on some stupid paranormal reality show where grown men scream at shadows in abandoned barns. I didn't realize until halfway through the second episode that I hadn't spoken in almost an hour. That night, lying on that lumpy futon, I stared at the ceiling, trying to figure out when I had become invisible in my own marriage. The thing is, it wasn't just about the guy at the bar. It was everything before him, the 1,000 tiny cuts I had ignored. The times she scrolled through her phone at dinner. The way she stopped texting me just to say she missed me. The way she rolled her eyes when I tried to initiate anything resembling affection. And me? I excused all of it. I blamed stress. Her job. The busy season. I gave her every benefit of every doubt, until she used them all up and still expected more. The next morning, I woke up to another message from her. This one wasn't a lazy, "Hey, where are you? I need to talk to you. Please. I messed up. I didn't mean to let things get this far. You weren't there for me emotionally. I felt alone." There it was. The twist of the knife. You weren't there for me emotionally. Classic line. Blame the man for being too emotionally unavailable while she's emotionally naked with another guy. I almost laughed, but my chest hurt too much. I didn't respond. Instead, I went for a long walk with Gerald through the old cemetery near Martin's place. Don't ask me why. I wasn't being poetic. I just needed space. And ironically, a field full of dead people was the only place that didn't feel haunted. When I got back, Martin was sitting at the table with a look that said, "You're not going to like what I have to tell you." "Dude," he started. I didn't want to dig, but I saw something. He held up his phone. I hesitated before taking it. It was a social media story. Not Jenna's. Not Lindsay's. But someone else from her office. Someone I didn't even know. In the video, there was Callie. Same red dress. Same guy. But this time, it wasn't blurry. It was clear. Crystal clear. She was sitting on his lap. His hand was not just on her back. It was around her waist. Her head was resting against his neck. Her eyes were closed. He kissed her temple. The caption? Power couple energy. Clinking glasses. I handed the phone back to Martin. My hands were shaking, not out of anger, but something worse, confirmation. That quiet finality you feel when the truth isn't a maybe anymore. It's a photograph. Martin tried to soften the blow. Look, man, this isn't on you. Some people, they just rewrite the story in their heads until they're the victim of a life they chose. I nodded, but my throat felt tight. I sat down. Gerald leaned against my leg. I thought of all the moments she could have just told me. All the times I asked, "Are we okay?" And she answered with, "Yeah, I'm just tired." All the nights I reached out for her in bed, and she turned away, pretending it was about comfort. She'd been gone long before I handed that bartender her ring. But here's the thing. It's not over yet. Because as much as I want to disappear into this dusty guest room and pretend none of this happened, there's still one more thing. Callie didn't just break my heart. She also left behind a breadcrumb trail. A small, stupid thread that's starting to unravel something I wasn't supposed to see. And I think I'm going to pull it. I know I should have blocked her. I know. That's what everyone says. Don't feed the fire. Don't reopen wounds. Don't let her keep access to your peace. But that's the thing no one tells you. Curiosity is louder than closure. Especially when it's 2 a.m. and your brain won't shut up and you're lying awake next to a dog who dreams more peacefully than you've felt in years. So I opened her messages again. It was stupid, but I wasn't looking for a fight. I wasn't looking for comfort. I just needed to know. Know if there was any part of her that regretted it. That hesitated. That wondered if she'd just torched the best thing she ever had for a guy who wore tucked-in polos and probably referred to women as females. I scrolled through her last texts. They were all some variation of panic. Please talk to me. I swear it didn't mean anything. I didn't sleep with him. We kissed. That's it. But then I noticed something I hadn't seen before. One of the texts, a long one, was a full paragraph. But when I looked closer, I realized it didn't have the usual gray bubble indentation. It had a timestamp, but no preview. That meant one thing. She deleted something. iMessage doesn't hide that. If you delete a message from a thread but don't delete the thread itself, it leaves behind a kind of ghost, a shadow of what used to be there. I knew the iCloud backup was probably out of date, but it hit me. I had her old iPad, still connected to the cloud, still syncing, still in the drawer of my desk at work. I took the next morning off and drove there like a man with a mission. No breakfast, just caffeine and dread. I pulled into the parking lot, buzzed myself in, and opened my drawer like it held gold. Or a bomb. There it was. Her iPad. Dead battery. Figures. I found a charger in the supply closet, plugged it in, and waited. As soon as it powered on, I opened messages. No password prompt. She'd never set one. She always said, "Why would I need a password? I don't have secrets." Right. The messages began syncing. Slowly at first, then in chunks. There they were. A name I didn't recognize at first, Tyler C. No emoji. Just a plain name and a plain thread. That's how you know it's the real one. And let me tell you, if my heart hadn't already been kicked in the ribs and dragged down a gravel road, that thread would have done it. Flirting. Laughing. Inside jokes I didn't recognize. Talk of late-night drinks. Gym selfies. Plans for weekends when I was out of town visiting my mom. But then I saw the date. A message from 3 months ago, which read, "He's clueless. I almost feel bad sometimes. But then I think about how boring he is, and it goes away faced with tears of joy." I read that 10 times. Not because it was the worst thing she'd said. No, it got worse. But because that line was the moment the illusion died completely. I wasn't her safe place. I was her punchline. A warm body she used to check the stable husband box while she lived a second life behind my back. I kept scrolling. There were photos. Not graphic, but personal. Her in a hotel robe. Her legs on a balcony. Him sending selfies at the gym with cringe captions like, "Can't wait to wear you out later." And then, the worst of all, a video clip. 10 seconds long. She's at a bar. Same red dress. Same night. Only this time, she says something. She leans into the camera and says, "Wish me luck. I'm about to end a marriage tonight." That was it. 10 seconds. A wink. A laugh. And a confession. It wasn't a slip. It wasn't a mistake. It was planned. She chose it. I closed the iPad. My hands were shaking. There was no going back now. No apology big enough to crawl over that mountain of betrayal. And the worst part? I realized that I hadn't just lost my wife. I'd lost the version of myself who believed people like her wouldn't do things like that. Now I had a video, a record, a truth she couldn't spin. But I wasn't going to scream. I wasn't going to confront her. No, I had a better idea. Because if she wanted to end a marriage with a performance, then I'd make sure she knew the audience was watching the whole time. I wasn't planning on doing anything dramatic. I'm not that guy. I'm not the blast her on social media type. I'm not the one who flips tables or throws her stuff on the lawn. That's never been me. And she knew that. I think she counted on it. She bet I'd go quietly. That I'd be too humiliated to tell anyone what happened. That I'd sit in some sad, dark room nursing heartbreak while she got to keep the story neat and tidy. But here's the thing, humiliation is a strange kind of fuel. Especially when the person who lit the match doesn't even bother hiding the gas can. That afternoon, as I sat there with her iPad still on my lap, I noticed her email was logged in too. I know what you're thinking. Should I have looked? Maybe not. But after that video, after she said she was ending a marriage tonight, with a laugh, I felt like the rules didn't apply anymore. She stepped off the moral map. I was just following her trail of breadcrumbs through the ash. There, in the inbox, was an RSVP confirmation. Subject line, wine and firelight, Thursday night social. It was from a rooftop lounge downtown. A cozy little spot where Callie always said the drinks were too overpriced for what you get. And yet, there she was, on the guest list. What stood out wasn't just that she was attending. It was that she had RSVP'd with a +1. The name listed? Tyler Connors. The same man from the messages. The gym selfies. The hotel ropes. The ending a marriage video. It wasn't a private thing. This was a company event. Semi-public. Cocktail attire. Her firm's monthly mixer, hosted for PR professionals and clients. Which meant other people would be there. Coworkers. Clients. People who knew me. People who had met me, even if only through photos on her desk or awkward small talk at the last Christmas party. And now, she was bringing him. The audacity, it shook me. She was going to walk in there with him on her arm like nothing had happened. Like I didn't exist. Like 7 years of marriage could be steam cleaned out of her life with a cute dress and a flute of champagne. I wasn't about to start a fight, but I was going to be seen. So I borrowed a suit from Martin. It didn't fit perfectly. I've got slightly broader shoulders and definitely less style, but it would do. I slicked back my hair, the way she used to like before she stopped noticing me. I showed up 15 minutes before the event started. Not to spy, not to eavesdrop, just to be there. To be real in a room where she was hoping I'd become invisible. The place was soft-lit, full of clinking glasses and little plates of olives and overpriced appetizers. Everyone smelled like designer cologne and ambition. I stood near the edge of the rooftop, sipping soda water and watching the door. 10 minutes passed. Then I saw her. Callie, in a silver dress that shimmered under the lights. Her arm looped through his. He was taller than I remembered. Confident. The kind of guy who walks in like the room's already impressed. She didn't see me at first. They mingled, laughing. She leaned in close to him, brushing her fingers against his chest like I wasn't 200 feet away watching her pretend I'd never existed. Then, finally, her eyes scanned the room. And landed on me. She froze. I watched the color leave her face like a slow drain. Her smile cracked, stiffened, then disappeared completely. Tyler leaned in to say something, but she didn't answer. She was staring at me like I'd walked out of her nightmares wearing a tie. I didn't move. I didn't wave. I didn't smirk. I just stood there, existing, taking up space in a story she was trying to rewrite. She finally turned and muttered something to Tyler, who glanced over at me, confused. Maybe she told him I was a coworker. Maybe she lied about being divorced already. Who knows? But the moment was already working. She had to leave. They made it 10 more minutes. Maybe 15. But she kept glancing back like a thief caught mid-grab, realizing the security camera was never off. Eventually, they slipped out the side door. Not a word. Not a goodbye. Just a silence thick enough to choke on. I stood there a little longer, still sipping soda water, letting the moment settle. And then I left. I didn't go home. I didn't go back to Martin's. I drove to a 24-hour diner, sat in a booth alone, and ordered pancakes at 10 p.m. like the world hadn't just cracked open beneath me. And in that booth, between bites, I started writing this post. Because maybe the only way to rebuild a life is to tell the truth about how it ended. Even if it's ugly. Even if it's slow. Even if it starts with a bartender and ends with a woman who couldn't even look me in the eyes when the music stopped. The thing about walking away from someone who thought you'd always stay is they panic, but not immediately. First, they stall. They downplay. They pretend it's salvageable. They test the water with soft texts and emojis like a broken heart can be fixed with a pleading face and a you up. That's what Callie did for the next 2 days. The first day, it was just silence. The second day, she texted me, "I saw you the other night. I didn't know you'd be there. Can we please talk?" No apology. Just a request. Like I was supposed to give her my time after she handed it to someone else. I ignored it. Then came the voicemail. "Emmett, I messed up. I didn't think you'd come. I didn't think you'd God. I thought maybe we could just talk. I didn't know it was going to be like this." And still, I said nothing. I was too busy remembering what it felt like to be disposable. To be the quiet husband waiting at home while she played dress-up with another man, whispering to a camera that she was about to end a marriage tonight. That line had burrowed so deep into my chest I wasn't sure I'd ever dig it out. But I didn't expect what happened next. I got a call from her mom. Now, to be clear, Callie's mother and I never had a particularly deep relationship. She was polite, civil, a little cold, but she respected me. Or at least, I thought she did. When I saw her name flash on my phone, I hesitated before answering. Her voice came through, firm but quiet. "Emmett, I know this is awkward. I wasn't going to call, but I heard what happened. I didn't respond. I just waited." She sighed. "She told me everything. Or, well, her version. But I wanted to hear from you. Because I've known you 7 years. And I know what kind of man you are. And I need to say something, because I don't think anyone else is going to." That's when she told me what I didn't see coming. Apparently, this wasn't the first time. 3 years ago. A conference in Atlanta. A coworker named Leo. I told her back then, her mom said, that if she didn't stop playing games with her marriage, she was going to lose something real. But Callie has always had a way of convincing herself she's right, even when she's burning everything down around her. I didn't say a word. My heart was pounding in my ears. I was gripping the phone so tight it hurt. "She needs to be humbled," her mom continued. "She needs to know that some people don't come back just because you cry pretty." That line stuck with me. She needs to know some people don't come back just because you cry pretty. I thanked her quietly. She said, "I hope you find peace. With or without her." Then hung up. 15 minutes later, I got a call from Callie. This time, I answered. I don't know why. Maybe I needed to hear it. Maybe I needed closure. Maybe part of me just wanted to see what her voice sounded like when she wasn't wearing a mask. She sounded tired. Wrecked. "Why did you talk to my mom?" she asked. I said nothing. You know, she's always judged me. She hated me marrying young. She hated that I didn't want kids right away. She also told me about Leo, I said calmly. There was silence on the other end. Then, oh, no denial. No shock. Just shame. Then she whispered, "I never meant to hurt you, Emmett. I didn't feel seen. You stopped holding my hand. You stopped asking how I was." "I stopped," I said, "because you stopped answering." I could hear her breathing. Shaky. Uneven. "I don't know who I am anymore," she said. "I don't know how I became this person." "I do," I replied. "You chose it." She broke then. Started crying. Not the fake kind. Not the sniffly, manipulative kind. The ugly, hiccuping sobs of someone who had finally run out of excuses. And for the first time, I didn't try to fix it. I didn't comfort her. I didn't ask her to explain. I let her cry. I let the silence stretch. I let her feel what I had felt on that bar stool when I slid her ring to a stranger and walked out. Finally, I said, "This isn't punishment. This is a mirror." More silence. "I hope you figure it out," I said. "I really do. But I won't be your lesson anymore." And then I hung up. No drama. No shouting. Just the sound of a man finally choosing himself over the wreckage someone else left behind. But the story's not done. Because people like Callie, they don't just fade quietly into regret. They push. They spiral. And she was just getting started. I thought that was the end of it. After the phone call, after the crying, the confessions, the silence, I honestly believed she'd retreat. Maybe to reflect. Maybe to lick her wounds. Or maybe just to run from the shame like she always did when she didn't get her way. But Callie doesn't let things go. She doesn't mourn. She manages. She plots. I found that out the hard way 3 days later. Martin and I were on the back deck of his place, half watching Gerald chase bees and half drinking cold beers, when my phone buzzed. It was a friend of mine, Rachel. We'd worked together for years. She was one of the few people who stayed in touch after I left the office to work remotely full-time. Her message read, "Hey, random question. Why did Callie post her text thread on her story?" I blinked. "Read it again." Then again. I texted back, "What are you talking about?" She replied with a screenshot, and my stomach dropped. It was a screenshot from Callie's Instagram story. One of those slides with a muted pastel background and text in a white bubble, the modern-day stage for oversharing and reputation management. The image showed a few of my texts to her, cropped so it looked like I was stonewalling her, heartless, cold. She'd scribbled over the timestamps and added a caption. "When someone refuses to take accountability, they'll always make you the villain in their story. I tried. I really tried. Broken heart." Below that, a poll. Do you think people can change? Options: yes, if they want to, or no. Once a cheater, always a cheater. I felt something tighten in my chest. It wasn't rage. I wish it were. Rage is loud and sharp. This was worse. This was quiet, heavy, the weight of being misunderstood on purpose. She wasn't just rewriting the story, she was rewriting me. Martin looked over and saw my face. "What?" he asked. I turned the phone toward him. He read it, blinked, then muttered, "Wow, she's gone full PR crisis mode." It made sense. That's her job after all. Spin, smooth, save the image. I just didn't realize she'd use her professional skills to assassinate my character like it was just another Friday deliverable. I could have responded, could have posted my own screenshots. The video, the messages, all of it. But I didn't. Because here's the thing I realized. People who know you, really know you, don't need screenshots. And the ones who believe her? They were never in my corner to begin with. Still, the damage was done. My mom called me the next day, confused and anxious. "Why is Callie implying you emotionally abandoned her?" She said she begged you to go to therapy. I hadn't even known she spoke to my mother. She said you refused help, that you gave up. I had to sit down. My hands were shaking again, not because of sadness, but because of how calculated it all was. She wasn't just hurting. She was building a shield, a wall of fake empathy curated for social media, crafted to look like heartbreak when it was actually just brand preservation. I told my mom the truth. Calmly. Slowly. No shouting. Just the facts. What I didn't expect was her reaction. She sighed and said, "I never believed her anyway. I was just waiting for you to tell me first." And that was the moment I felt it. Not closure, not justice, but clarity. She was losing control. The tighter she gripped the narrative, the faster it unraveled. Because here's the thing about truth. It's patient. It doesn't need an audience. It just needs time. And Callie? She was running out of it. Because while she was posting polls and cryptic quotes, someone else had seen everything. The bartender. The same guy I handed the ring to. And what he sent me next changed everything. I was sitting at a cafe downtown when I got the message. Just coffee this time, no adrenaline, no icy sweat clinging to my palms. Gerald was curled under the table at my feet, people watching with more enthusiasm than I could fake. My inbox buzzed with a new email. The name made me freeze for a second. Derek H. It took me a moment to place it. And then I remembered the bartender. The one from that night. The one I handed the ring to. Subject line: "Hope this isn't weird." I clicked. Inside was a short, polite message. "Hey, Emmett. You don't know me, but I was the bartender the night you came to Trudy's dockside. I've had that moment stuck in my head for weeks. I didn't know what to do with it, but I figured I should tell you something. She came back about 40 minutes after you left. Alone. She looked around like she expected you to still be there. I gave her the ring. She didn't say anything at first. Then she laughed, but it wasn't real. It was hollow. She sat at the bar for a few minutes. Ordered nothing. Just stared at the ring. Then she started crying. Like, the real kind. She left without taking it. I kept it for a while, in case you wanted it back. I'm not sure if this helps. I just thought maybe you'd want to know she did come back. Even if it was too late." He attached a picture. There it was, my wedding ring, sitting on a napkin beside a half-empty glass of water. A ghost of a life that had ended in dim light and quiet consequences. I stared at the screen for a long time. And then, for the first time in what felt like months, I smiled. Not because I missed her. Not because I wanted her back. But because I had finally, truly, let go. Let go of needing the apology. Let go of wondering what she felt. Let go of the version of myself that thought being loved meant being chosen every single day, when some people don't even know what choosing someone means. A week later, I moved out of Martin's place. Not because I had to, because I was ready. I signed the lease on a small loft apartment across town. Nothing fancy. Brick walls, creaky floors, weird little skylight in the bedroom. But it was mine. Just mine. I started walking Gerald more. I started sleeping again, not all night, but enough. I even rejoined the gym. Not to glow up or win the breakup, just to move my body again. To feel something different. A few coworkers invited me out for drinks one night. Just beers and bad bar food. I almost said no. I almost let the fear of starting over choke me out again. But I went. And that's where I met someone. Her name's Mara. She works in nonprofit management. Has this habit of tucking her hair behind her ear when she's nervous and talking a little too fast when she's passionate about something. We talked for 2 hours straight. Didn't even realize the bar was closing. We've gone on a few walks since then. Nothing serious. But I don't flinch when my phone buzzes anymore. I don't brace myself for lies in the form of sweet words. I don't need her to fix me, because I'm not broken. Just cracked open enough to finally breathe again. So yeah, I guess this post doesn't end with fireworks or revenge or big courtroom drama. Just a guy who loved the wrong person for a long time and finally started loving himself enough to walk away. And honestly, that's the most peaceful ending I could have hoped for. Thanks for listening.